Hey, action figure collectors and Sesame Street fans. Boy, how I got lucky during this year's Target Haulathon, which is going on right now, because I was actually able to score NECA's newest Sesame Street action figure of Count Von Count, and honestly, this thing is amazing. Seriously, NECA is just hitting it out of the park with the Sesame Street line. I mean, Ernie and Bert are fantastic, and I expect no different with this Count. And having this new Sesame Street action figure in hand, it's just giving me great 80s nostalgia vibe for when I was watching Sesame Street on PBS as a little kid, learning to count numbers and learn my ABCs, for Pete's sakes. It was a great babysitter. So, let's go ahead and check out the newest Sesame Street action figure. I am super excited about the Sesame Street Count, and I haven't even opened up the box yet. Speaking of, let's go ahead and check out the packaging. First off, on the front, you get his name, Count Von Count, which I actually did not remember that. I just called him the Count. Again, Sesame Street logo right up here. He is the third one, so volume 3. We are featuring the number 2, which is our very first number getting on this Sesame Street series. Previously, it has been letters. Wonderful illustration of the Count right here. I didn't realize, I forgot he has a goatee. Actually, that's really awesome. And he's got some kind of numbered candelabra. Am I saying that right? Hopefully I am. With this little cute little spider guy right here. On the side, we get the name Count Von Count again, Sesame Street logo. And we get this awesome illustration of the Count with him holding up his cape, standing on the number 3. And that's going to be on both sides, as you can see. The top, it is the same as all the other Sesame Street lines with the logo and Bert and Ernie right here reading a NECA book. Here at the bottom, we have the wonderful people of NECA who made this line possible. You get some of the UPC numbers. No additional instructions here, like we saw with the Bert one. So no surprises, I don't assume. And flipping it over to the back, we have wonderful toy photography illustrations of the Count, different poses. We got the phone. We've got that number 2, which is kind of interesting looking. Little sad eyes with, don't know what's going on there. But great shots all together. And like all NECA packaging, the front does open up with great toy photography of the Count right here on the left-hand side. And we finally get to see the action figure itself with the full figure in the middle, number 2, alternate hands, some of the accessories, plus an alternate head right there. So let's go ahead and get the Sesame Street Count out of the box. Now hopefully this episode isn't sucking so far. Yeah, see what I did there? Count, vampire, sucking. But all puns aside, hopefully you're enjoying the showcase of the Sesame Street Count. If you are, consider giving it a like, and heck, even drop your comments below, because I love responding to the Nerdmazing community out there and just talking about action figures and toys with you all. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Love for you to be a part of this community. Alright, let's carry on. Now, what are all the accessories we get with the Sesame Street Count Von Count? First off, we get this wonderful alternate head of his with an open mouth expression showcasing the fangs. Very happy, very happy look, as you can see. But outside of the open mouth expression, we're gonna have the same type of style and look throughout as we do on the head that comes with the figure itself. Next up, we get this wonderful rotary telephone that he comes with. And if you don't know what that is, kids, these are phones without buttons that you had to turn around back in the 80s and the 90s. Yes, we're that old. And I like the fact that the receiver part actually does come off. It is attached to a very thin wire, as we can see. So yeah, I'm scared to break that in the future one day. But a nice black matte finish with a little gold receiver pin right here at the bottom. Otherwise, that's about all the details that this has. Then we have the candelabra, the candlestick holder. Very nice with all the dripping wax from the candles, the nice little flame, very detailed silver, I guess, candlestick portion. Flat on the back side, which is nice. No numbers on this, as we saw in the illustration, probably because they weren't able to get that details. But a very nice piece, again, very great for a count. Then we have the number 2 right here, a very sad 2, which figured out what that was. That is his smile, or I guess his frown, actually. Sad eyes like this. And the 2, and I don't know if this is from Sesame Street or not, is very different looking than the letters. In the fact of it doesn't have the texture, as you can see, that the letters have, as well as the thickness is about half as thick. Don't know if that's on purpose or not, but I would have loved to have a little bit more foam texture on the two, like the letters, as well as have the same kind of thickness too. Love the fact on his alternate hands, we get a set of 1, 2, 3 counting hands that we have, like 1, 2, 3 hands. That's awesome. Would have loved to put to 4 because he has 4 fingers, but that's not a problem. Then we have the quintessential grasping hands, as you can see, for him to be able to pick up the phone, hold the candlestick, and whatever else is needed for grasping hands to do. Then we have the Count's cape, very 70s kind of looking style inside that you would see in this old jacket. That's the lining. The backside is nice and green, kind of a plasticky texture. This is hard plastic up here. This is actually soft plastic up here at the top, and this does have a bendable wire, as we can see, for posing. And right here, this little part, how you actually attach it to the figure itself, there's a tiny little gap right here at the neckline on the back side where you have this little hanger piece that slots in like so. A little tricky for me, but you're able to put it in, holds up, and there's that. And if you need the finger loops to add some more stability, you can just slide those in like so for him to be able to raise it up. But if you keep his arms down lower, he'll have a tendency to pop out. But the cape is a nice touch. Now for how well the Sesame Street Count articulates, let's find out. With the head, it's a nice smooth 360, side to side, really good, forward, excellent, and backwards, not too bad. The really grade A jaw right here. The shoulders, nice T motion, as we can see. 360 around, great, as well as right there when using the T motion. Elbows, nice, almost feels like a double jointed as far as it can go. That's really nice, and I love the fact you're not seeing any pins either. Really great range of motion right there at the elbow. At the wrist, nice 360 spin. See if it points inwards. Not really, kind of gets hung up on the cuff here on the coat. Same pointing outwards, so wrist motion gonna be a little bit difficult due to the clothing. All right, let's check out 360 spin. Not too bad, nice and smooth. Put his arms up. Crunch, somewhat. Crunch back, or lean back. Just really goes back to neutral. Again, this piece of clothing does restrict that. That also clothing, it's gonna restrict the splits, but he does a fairly well splits, as we can see. Kicking forward, that's about as far as it goes. Back as well. Hip swivel. Decent, actually, really good hip swivel. My goodness, that is a great range of motion. Knees, nicely done. Go back somewhat. The rotation, somewhat. Oh, actually, a good, nice 360 once you get past the tightness. So really good there. Feet don't really point down, don't really point upwards. They're kind of stuck. Ankle rocking, really nice. Overall, pretty decent for the Sesame Street figure. Again, not expecting tons of range of motion for action shots, but enough to do certain things for a Sesame Street character. Now this Sesame Street Count does measure up to be about 6 inches tall. 6, and he's definitely fitting in with his friends from Sesame Street. Now let's go ahead and check out the already wonderful details on this Count from Sesame Street that I can already tell. First off, checking out the head, he's got the quintessential purple skin for the Count. That wonderful long pointy nose, as we can see. That relaxed kind of, not fully closed, but a little bit of a smirk going on right there with his tiny little fangs showcasing. His iconic eyeglass piece, the monocle that he has over his left eye, which really clever way that they were able to do that. This is actually hard, so just be careful there. His really pronounced eyebrows, which are a nice soft plastic. Great that they did that. That gorgeous goatee that he has very luscious, the envy of all heavy metal bands out there. That slick back black hair that he has, doing that nice kind of V motion right there at the crown, and you can almost just kind of feel every strain right here, just going back with a little bit of choppiness right here at the end as it tapers off. And he is a vampire, or I'm sorry, a count. So he has this kind of elfish pointy ears of a supernatural being. So, but great details on this count head. Loving everything that I can see on there. And the count is always a man who dresses to impress, probably of a more vintage, older style, because I have no idea how old the count is. But he's got a great black and white, almost tuxedo-like. I wouldn't know what this kind of formal wear is technically called, but nice bright white undersuit with a button, a bright white bow tie that we got right here, a sash right here of red and yellow, probably representation of where he's from. And if anyone in the comments knows, do we know where Count is actually from? You know, did he grow up on Sesame Street, or did he come from somewhere else? I mean, what's his country of origin? Not a clue. Love the fact that he has this very nice matte black jacket on, and it's nice and buttoned. And I love the fact that they were able to do the fabric tension going towards the button in 3 directions. So it's a bit of a snug fit for him, but it does look really great. And even got the kind of fabric tension pulls right here again on the arms and the back. Nice little glossy buttons right here where it meets up at the cuff, and a little bit of the white cuff going on here. Wonderful purple hands that we can see that are just more of an open gesture kind of a style. Again, he has the nice matching black pants, again with more texture showing out as it just kind of falls with gravity. Really great. And a nice pair of kind of black and white shoes, very fancy, almost like not tap dancing shoes, but I don't know what they're called. Seen these before, very formal though, but really nicely done. He's got the holes at the bottom of his feet for a peg display stand, so I'm sure we're gonna need that to kind of achieve certain poses so he doesn't fall over. But loving this, and he does have the same kind of fabric foam texture that all these Sesame Street characters are having, because they are made out of foam. So very much like, again, all the Sesame Street characters and all the Muppets that Jim Henson did. There's a few minor little scuff marks I can see on the back, and a little bit of scuff here on the legs, but honestly speaking, it's very minor. And I love the fact that I cannot see any pins unless I like turn him over. That might be a pin. No, there's just scuff marks, but it almost looks very pinless. Nicely job on this figure, NECA. Really nice. I mean, just wow. NECA, you did it again. This count is just near perfect, and is just a great piece to have in this growing Sesame Street collection. I mean, honestly speaking, there was like really no issues that I had with it. Honestly, there's some scuff marks in the body paint, and I kind of felt like the cape was a little bit kind of hard to utilize and posing and whatnot. Still a great piece, so definitely a solid 9 out of 10. Definitely a must-have for any Sesame Street fan and anybody who's just like 80s nostalgia freak like myself. So definitely get this, get Bert, get Ernie. In fact, definitely check out the showcases of Bert and Ernie here on Nerdmazing. There's going to be one right there, so go ahead and click it now. Well, thanks for joining me here on Nerdmazing. This is Adam, and I'll see you next time.